Every morning at 5:30, in a quiet corner of rural Japan, an 87-year-old woman opens her sliding door. She steps into the crisp morning air, carrying a small cloth and bamboo broom. With calm, steady movements, she begins to sweep the garden stones, wipe the wooden floor of her porch, and gently clean the window frames. She hums softly as she works. Her back is straight, her eyes bright. To many, this may seem like a simple routine, but in Japan it is a way of life, a practice that nurtures both the home and the heart. Studies from Tohoku University have shown that older adults who maintain regular cleaning habits have up to 30% lower risk of cognitive decline. Cleaning in Japan is not a chore, it is a form of meditation. Have you ever wondered if a clean house could mean a clearer mind and a stronger body? Today, I tried Japan's 15 traditional cleaning habits for just 1 week, and I wasn't ready for what happened next. Before we begin, I'd love to know, where are you watching this from, and what time is it for you right now? Please let me know in the comments below. I truly look forward to reading them. And don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss what's coming next. Why I decided to try Japan's cleaning habits. At first, it started with a feeling, one I think many of us know too well, a quiet restlessness, the kind that builds up not just in our bodies, but in our homes, our routines, even our hearts. I looked around my living space and realized I no longer felt connected to it. It had become something I simply passed through each day. The clutter on the table, the dust along the windowsill, it all mirrored how I felt inside. A little tired, a little out of control. One afternoon, while browsing a Japanese lifestyle blog, I came across a phrase that stayed with me. To clean is to return to yourself. It spoke of soji, a traditional Japanese approach to cleaning that goes beyond tidying. It's not about achieving a perfect space, but about creating harmony between your body, your surroundings, and your spirit. That evening, I wrote down a list of 15 Japanese cleaning habits I wanted to try for the week ahead. Some were physical, like hand-wiping floors or sun-drying laundry. Others were more mindful, like opening windows every morning or pausing to thank each room as I cleaned. I wasn't sure what would happen, but something told me this might be more than just a household experiment. It might be a way back to feeling alive again. Day 1. Harder than I thought. When I woke up on the first day, a quiet doubt greeted me before my feet even touched the floor. I had told myself, just start. But there was something intimidating about facing a new routine, especially one that came from a culture known for its quiet discipline and deep intentionality. I made my way to the living room with a handwritten list of Japanese cleaning habits. There were no fancy supplies, no vacuum, no chemical sprays, just a soft cloth, a bamboo broom, and an open heart. The instructions were clear: clean from the top down and from the inside out. That meant I'd begin with the highest shelves, move to the walls and windows, then finish with the floor. But more importantly, I had to move slowly, with care and attention. Almost immediately, I realized how far I'd drifted from my own body. As I reached up to dust the curtain rods, my shoulder twinged. As I knelt to wipe the baseboards, my knees complained. My balance felt uncertain. I had to pause more than once to catch my breath, not because the tasks were hard, but because I hadn't moved this way in a long time. I thought cleaning would feel like a chore, but slowly, something unexpected began to happen. As my hands moved across the surfaces of my home, my thoughts began to settle. There was no rush, no phone buzzing, no background noise, just the sound of the cloth gliding over wood, the faint creak of the floor beneath me, and the rhythm of my own breathing. It wasn't just my house that was being cleaned, it was my mind. The most challenging task that day was wiping the floors by hand. In Japan, it's common to clean the floor using a crouched or kneeling position, which they say strengthens the back and core. For me, it was humbling. My muscles trembled. I had to use a pillow to protect my knees. But as I worked through the living room, I noticed how my movements became steadier. My breathing slowed. My thoughts softened. I didn't finish everything on the list that day. I had planned to open all the windows, sweep the entryway, and even wash the cushions on the couch. But halfway through, I realized this journey wasn't about checking off tasks. It was about being present, here, in this moment, with this body, in this space. By evening, I sat quietly with a cup of tea and looked around. The room wasn't spotless, but it felt different, lighter, somehow. Not just because it was cleaner, but because I had shown up for it. I had moved through my day with intention, and for the first time in a long while, I felt less like a person trying to get things done, and more like someone gently returning to themselves. 5 cleaning habits that helped my body move naturally. By the second and third day, I began to see my home not just as a place to clean, but as a kind of quiet partner, inviting me to move, stretch, and breathe again. I realized that many of the traditional Japanese cleaning habits were subtle forms of movement. They weren't exercises in the way we think of workouts in the West. There were no reps to count, no timers to beat, but each gesture, each motion, was gently reintroducing my body to its own strength and rhythm. Here are 5 habits that changed the way I felt physically in just a few days. 1. Wiping the floor by hand. In Japan, it's common to clean floors using a zoken, a cloth you wring out by hand and push along the floor while kneeling or in a crouched position. At first, it felt like too much. My knees hurt, my back protested. But I placed a folded towel under my knees and took it slowly, inch by inch. What surprised me was how this simple motion, leaning forward, reaching, pushing, started to engage my whole body. My shoulders loosened, my spine lengthened, even my hips felt more open. It became a kind of moving meditation. The rhythm of scrubbing brought focus, and when I stood up, I realized I hadn't just cleaned the floor, I had stretched muscles I hadn't used in years. 2. Hanging laundry under the sun. Instead of using a dryer, I followed the Japanese habit of hanging clothes outside each morning. There's a quiet joy in it. You step out into the cool air, feel the sun on your face, lift your arms to pin each garment to the line. This gentle reaching motion worked my shoulders and upper back, areas that often stiffen with age. It also gave me a reason to step outside, breathe fresh air, and pause for a few minutes of stillness. In Japan, many older adults say they find peace in drying clothes with the sun, and now I understand why. It's not just about saving energy, it's about being part of the morning. 3. Cleaning in the Caesar position. Caesar is the traditional way of sitting in Japan, kneeling on the floor with your feet tucked beneath you. It's not easy for everyone, especially if your knees or hips are stiff. But I found that even a modified position with a cushion under me helped me strengthen my core and improve posture. When I cleaned low surfaces from this seated posture, like cabinet bottoms or corners behind furniture, I had to engage my core to stay upright. It reminded me how often I slouch when seated, but in Caesar, your spine naturally wants to rise tall. There's grace in it. And over time, that grace felt like it was being restored in my body. 4. Folding bedding the Japanese way. In many Japanese homes, especially those that use futons, there's a daily ritual of folding and storing bedding after waking up. Even though I sleep on a Western-style bed, I tried adapting this habit. Each morning, I stripped the blankets, fluffed the pillows, folded each item with care. The lifting, folding, and bending movements, especially done slowly, engaged my arms, waist, and thighs. But what touched me most was the intention behind it. Folding the bedding wasn't just tidying, it was a way to say thank you to the night, to mark a new beginning each day. 5. Sweeping the front path with a bamboo broom. This habit, more than any other, made me feel part of something larger. Each morning, I took a simple broom and swept the walkway in front of my home. It reminded me of the Japanese elders who sweep their temples and neighborhood streets each day, not because they have to, but because it brings a sense of order, peace, and connection. The sweeping motion itself, long, controlled side to side, opened my chest and gently worked my arms and shoulders. It was soothing, almost ceremonial. I began to look forward to it each morning, not just for the exercise, but for the ritual, how cleaning helps slow memory decline. As the days passed, I began to notice something beyond the physical. My mind felt sharper, calmer, more awake. At first, I thought it might just be the satisfaction of getting things done. But by the 5th day, I realized it was more than that. Something was happening inside me, mentally. I started reading more about the science behind daily cleaning and the brain. And to my surprise, there's real evidence behind what I was experiencing. According to a 2020 study published in the Journal of Gerontology, older adults who engage in light household chores like wiping, organizing, or sweeping show higher levels of cognitive function. Researchers found that the combination of physical movement and mental decision-making during cleaning actually stimulates the brain in a unique way. When we clean, we're constantly scanning the environment. Where should this go? What have I missed? What's the best way to approach this corner? That kind of mental engagement, combined with body movement, activates the hippocampus, the part of the brain responsible for memory and spatial awareness. And unlike passive activities like watching TV, cleaning requires action. It forces you to interact with your surroundings. Each task has a beginning, a process, and an end. That sense of completion is deeply grounding, especially for older adults who may feel their days lack structure. But the most powerful lesson came not from science, but from a story I heard about a retired gardener in a small Japanese town. His name was Mr. Ishikawa. He was 82 when his family first noticed signs of memory loss. He forgot names, misplaced keys, and sometimes repeated questions. His doctor called it mild cognitive impairment, not yet dementia, but a warning sign. His daughter, instead of rushing to medication, encouraged him to return to something he had loved in his youth, tending to their backyard garden. But with one added element: every morning, before touching the plants, he had to sweep the path, wipe the garden tools, clean the stone basin, and fold the cloths he used to kneel on. It was a slow process, but after 3 months, his daughter noticed something remarkable. He began to remember which flowers needed more water. He could describe how he had trimmed the trees. He no longer repeated himself as often. His doctor was surprised. While his condition hadn't reversed, it had clearly stabilized. His daughter believed it wasn't just the gardening, but the ritual of cleaning before it that made the difference. He had purpose again, she said, and he was using his hands and mind together, every day. That story stayed with me. It reminded me that cleaning, done with presence, can be more than just maintenance. It can be a form of gentle brain training, a daily invitation to engage with the world, to remember where things go, and to make small decisions that matter. So now, when I wipe the kitchen counter or sweep under the table, I don't rush. I let myself notice the movement. I ask myself, what's next? I let my hands and eyes work together slowly. It's a quiet kind of mental exercise, one that doesn't need a screen or a device, just a cloth, a moment, and the willingness to care. 4. Cleaning principles that help reduce stress and improve sleep. By the 6th day of my experiment, something unexpected began to shift, not in my muscles but in my mind. I was sleeping better. I wasn't tossing and turning as much. My dreams felt lighter, and my body calmer. I hadn't changed my diet. I hadn't taken any new supplements. The only new habit? Cleaning, gently, mindfully, and with a kind of respect I hadn't practiced before. It turns out, the way we treat our space directly affects how we rest. And the Japanese approach to cleaning offers a few powerful principles that aren't just about tidying, but about creating peace. Here are 4 that transformed my nights. 1. Clear space, clear mind. In Japanese homes, clutter isn't just considered unattractive. It's seen as an obstacle to inner peace. The idea is simple. When our surroundings are chaotic, our thoughts tend to mirror that chaos. Each evening, before the sun set, I spent just 10 minutes putting things back in place, folding a blanket, clearing off the dining table, placing my book by the lamp. That simple act became a signal to my brain. The day is done. You're safe now. As I moved through my home, I remembered something from the KonMari philosophy. Keep only what sparks joy. But what I felt was deeper than joy. It was relief. Relief that my space no longer demanded anything from me. It was ready to support rest. Clean the kitchen before bed. In many Japanese households, it's a sacred rule. Never leave the kitchen messy at night. At first, I thought this was just about hygiene, but it became something more. On the 3rd night, I slowly washed every dish, dried each one, wiped the sink, and then, this was key, I polished the faucet until it shone. I turned off the lights and looked back. The silence of a clean kitchen felt like a deep exhale. There's a Japanese phrase that stayed with me. Katazuke wa kokoro no seiri. Tidying is the arrangement of the heart. By clearing the kitchen, I was also clearing away the residue of the day, the undone conversations, the worries, the list of things left behind. I went to bed lighter. 3. Wipe the windows at sunset. This one surprised me. On the 5th day, I read that in older Japanese traditions, people used to clean their windows at the end of the day, not the morning. Why? To wash away the dust of the world and prepare the home to receive the calm of night. I tried it using a soft cloth and warm water. The sun was low in the sky. As I wiped each pane, I felt as if I was preparing not just the room, but myself for something sacred. There's something healing about touching glass, seeing your reflection, and then gently letting the light pass through. 4. Place one green plant in a freshly cleaned corner. In Japanese aesthetics, after cleaning a space, it's common to add a small touch of life, like a single plant, a flower in a vase, or even a ceramic figure. It's not decoration, it's energy. After wiping the corner near my reading chair, I placed a tiny potted fern there. Every time I passed it, I felt a small lift. It reminded me that cleanliness isn't about perfection. It's about intention, about adding a gentle kind of life force into the space you inhabit. How I changed after 7 days. By the seventh day, something inside me had shifted, and not in a dramatic, cinematic way. There were no fireworks, no big revelations. But as I sat quietly one morning with a warm cup of tea in my freshly cleaned kitchen, I realized I felt different, and not just on the outside. Let's start with the physical. I hadn't joined a gym, I hadn't lifted weights. Yet my body felt more open, more awake. My joints, usually stiff in the mornings, moved more freely. The small movements I'd made, wiping floors, reaching to hang laundry, crouching to clean corners, had quietly activated muscles I'd neglected. One afternoon, I bent down to pick up something I'd dropped, and I did it with ease. I paused, surprised. Just a week ago, that same motion would have come with a small grunt, maybe even a moment of hesitation. Now, it felt natural. My spine was looser, my knees less stubborn. But the bigger transformation? It was emotional. For years, I've lived with a quiet kind of heaviness, the kind that creeps in as you get older. When your days feel slower, your sleep more restless, your energy like a tide that never quite returns. I wouldn't have called it sadness, but it was something close, a sense that life had become smaller. This week, that heaviness began to lift. There was something about the rituals, the wiping, the sweeping, the small order of things that gave structure to my day. It reminded me that I was still capable, that I could create beauty even in simple ways, that my actions mattered even if no one else saw them. The house felt different too, not just cleaner, warmer, more alive. It was as if the walls had softened, as if the rooms had exhaled. My bedroom, once a place of restless nights, now welcomed me with calm. My kitchen, once cluttered with things I didn't need, now invited me in each morning with quiet clarity. But the most surprising change, I began to speak more gently to myself. Instead of saying, "You forgot to clean that," I found myself saying, "Let's take care of it now." Instead of rushing, I slowed down. I noticed textures, the grain of the wood table, the cool surface of the sink, the softness of a drying cloth. These were things I hadn't touched with care in years. I began to see cleaning not as a task to complete, but as a conversation. With my home, with my body, with my spirit. There's an old Japanese saying, "Ji-o migaku wa kokoro o migaku." To polish the floor is to polish the heart. Now I understand. Every cloth I wrung out, every window I wiped, every breath I took while sweeping the steps, those were not just chores. They were invitations to return, to remember, to reconnect with the quiet strength still living inside me. How the Japanese turn cleaning into a way of life. In Japan, cleaning is not just about keeping things tidy. It's a way of living with care. One of the most beautiful examples is a soji, the big year-end cleaning practiced in homes, schools, and businesses. It's more than wiping away dust. It's a ritual of clearing out the old and welcoming the new with intention and respect. Even children in Japanese schools take part. There are no janitors. Students clean their classrooms every day, sweeping, wiping, and tidying together. It teaches them that cleanliness isn't someone else's job. It's a shared responsibility, a way of showing gratitude for the spaces that hold our lives. I was especially moved by a story of a 76-year-old woman in Kyoto who wipes the stone path outside her home each morning. "Because this is the path others walk," she says. "I want it to feel kind." That word, kind, captures something essential. In many towns, elderly residents can be seen sweeping sidewalks and trimming small gardens in public spaces. Not because they're asked to, but because they care. For them, cleaning isn't a chore. It's a quiet gift to others, a way to belong. Since beginning this journey, I've come to see cleaning as more than a task. It's a gentle way to say, this space matters. I matter. And so do the people who share it with me. 7 days, 15 habits, 1 quiet transformation. What began as a simple experiment to try Japan's cleaning traditions became something far more personal. I didn't just clean my home. I reconnected with it. I moved more, slept deeper, thought more clearly. And most importantly, I began to treat myself with a little more kindness. In Japan, to clean is to care. For your space, your body, your mind, and your community. And perhaps that's the invitation we all need right now. Not to be perfect, but to be present. Not to fix everything at once, but to touch the world around us with gentle attention, 1 corner at a time. So wherever you are, whatever age you're at, know this: it's never too late to begin again. Even if it's just 5 minutes with a cloth, a breath, and the willingness to care. Please remember, health information on YouTube is not meant for everyone and is not medical advice. If you're worried about your health, please talk to your doctor. And if you ever feel it's an emergency, call your local emergency number right away.